Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is London and today I'm going to be making my first ever pet portrait. Now as you could probably tell from the title, I had a few complications along the way, but everything turned out good in the end. But if you want to see how it goes, come along and let's watch me paint this thing.
Alright, so let's get started. This is the initial sketch that I'm working with. I decided to use the grid method for this painting, which I don't normally use, but I thought it would help me out with my proportions in this painting. Since it's so detailed, I knew that if something was even slightly off, it would really mess up the painting. Spoiler alert, it did, but we fix it later on. And then I transferred that sketch onto the canvas, and then here are my paints. And starting on the background here, I used burnt umber mixed with mineral spirits to get these different tones of color. And then I went back and forth with like a Q-tip and some paper towels and then more paint to try to get some details in there. It really helps to map out the lights and darks of the painting. That way you know where to put your colors later. So before I started this painting, I actually looked at tutorials online about how to make pet portraits. Since I've never done it before, I just thought, I would look to other people who are professionals at it to try to get their advice. And really, that's how I learned almost all of my art skills, from YouTube. I've been watching YouTube ever since I was like a little kid, learning how to make art, and here I am coming full circle, which I think is really cool, actually. But I digress, okay? The tutorial said to start off with the eyes, because as long as you get that honed in, then the rest of it kind of falls into place. So that's what I tried here. And at this point, I thought it was looking like really good, and I was so excited about it. Lo and behold, it was not good. It was not good at all. The second I stood up and took a step back, I realized these eyes were actually way too small. And here I am making the decision to wipe them off and starting from scratch, which was a terrible decision to make. I really did not want to have to do this, and if I'm being honest, I did crash out a little bit. I was very much on a time crunch here because I was actually making this for my friend for their birthday, and I only had about 18 hours left before I needed to give this to them. And this painting itself took me about 12 hours, so it's very much like me to wait till the last minute. So I really shouldn't have been surprised, but I gave myself no time leeway at all. And having to wipe all of this off and redo it cost me about at least 2 hours of work. It was not a fun time. And here you can see that I had to redo the entire underpainting to make sure that I actually have the right proportions this time. Even though I fixed the underpainting, I just felt that somehow, some way, I had messed it up again, and I was so paranoid about getting it wrong. So I was trying my best to make sure to look at the reference as much as I possibly could to make sure that I wasn't going to mess up again. Since I'm making this for someone I care about, I definitely don't want to give them something that I don't even like, I want to try to put as much thought and care into it as I can. And ironically, since I record while I paint, I noticed that the first time I painted the eyes and the second time I painted the eyes actually took the exact amount of time. It took 1 hour and 17 minutes. And I just find that really weird. So here is a before and after of the eyes. I hope seeing that makes more sense as to why I had to redo it, because just seeing it from that one angle, it doesn't look like anything's wrong with it. I only noticed until I took a step back and saw it from afar. But definitely seeing it side by side, I was like, oh, yeah, I can see the difference now. Which I think just further confirms my choice to redo it, because honestly, if I had kept the eyes that small, I would not have liked it. I do think it paid off in the end, so it was worth it. It was not fun, but it was worth it. So, sometimes as an artist, you definitely fail a little bit, but that's kind of the fun in it, You can't really grow unless you keep trying and failing and then trying again, because I definitely wouldn't have gotten this far in my art progress if I had not allowed myself to be able to fail. And I just think that's really important for artists to remember, or really in life in general, I guess. And I also think that going out of your comfort zone is really important as well, because, like I said, this is my first ever pet portrait, and I have been very nervous about doing a pet portrait for quite a while. I originally wanted to do a portrait of my cat first, but I was too scared of messing it up. And then I decided to do this cat, which was probably a bad idea because it was a very complicated painting since his fur pattern was very detailed. So if I had thought it through a bit more, I probably would have started with something a bit simpler. But either way, I finally got over the hurdle of actually getting a pet portrait done. And so now, if I want to do another one, I won't feel so scared to do it. Sorry to get philosophical on you. I tend to do that a lot. My bad. But anyways, the nose was honestly like my favorite part to paint on this whole portrait. That and the eyes. Even though the eyes, kind of gave me some issues, they were still very interesting to paint. The nose, however, he has such cute little freckles on his nose, and I just loved adding in the details of his little freckles. They were just so cute to me. If you've gotten this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I don't know if you've noticed, you probably haven't, but this is actually my first video on YouTube, or at least my long form video. My first time showing my face on here, and my first time talking. So there's a lot of comfort zones that I'm pushing past today. So I really appreciate you being here and watching this far into the video. That definitely means I've at least kept your attention for this long, which honestly is an accomplishment. So if you are enjoying this video, I really would appreciate if you could like or subscribe. If you want to, you don't have to. But I do feel obligated to at least ask you, since that's what every YouTuber does. So I feel like that's like a rite of passage, right? So anyways, let's get back to the video. As you can see, now I'm painting the whiskers, and I tried to use a palette knife at first to get the paint on there, but it just wasn't working. I've seen some other artists use the palette knife for the whiskers, so I thought that would be a good idea. I don't know if I just didn't have the right technique or I did it wrong. I don't know, but it didn't work for me, so I ended up using this small brush. And I think finally getting the whiskers onto the face really tied everything together, because he looked a little bald before the whiskers. I guess I never really think about it, but seeing a cat without whiskers just feels kind of off, I was really nervous adding in these whiskers because I felt like if I did it wrong, it would be really hard to fix. And actually, it was pretty easy because I did mess up a few times and I was able to fix it relatively easily. I also really love adding the shine to the eyes. That also really helps pull everything together. Honestly, my favorite part of any painting is adding in the highlights at the very end. It's just so satisfying. Now, I want to see if you can guess how many times it takes for me to do the signature for this painting. I'm so picky about my signature. I will redo it over and over and over until I get it looking exactly how I want it to. Fun fact, I actually created this signature when I was in high school, which is now almost a decade ago. And I also made the name of this channel back in high school around the same time. So my name on here is Acrylic Damsel, which honestly I feel like isn't very suited for me anymore because I don't really use acrylic paints very much. But it just feels so nostalgic to me. I feel like I can't let it go. Like that's just who I am now, But anyways, eventually I finally settled on a signature that I like.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. It's been a little while. I've stolen back the painting from my friend so I can varnish it. And this is what it looks like. I'm actually super happy with how the painting turned out. I was really nervous about having to start over, but I'm glad that I pushed through and made it to the end. And my friend really liked the painting, and really that's all I was worried about. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind liking or subscribing, not that you have to, but then you could see my videos in the future. And I'm not only going to be posting oil painting videos, I do a variety of different mediums. And if I can be philosophical again for one moment, I hope that this inspires you to also take a leap of faith on yourself today. and do something scary. So I hope you all have a great day, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.